What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So, today we're going over Revenant Prime. He's finally out, and he's not very different from normal Revenant. But there were some big Revenant buffs recently, so I'm going to be redoing my How to Play Revenant guide from 2020. I actually rewatched it recently, and a lot of stuff is actually the same, but they made some big buffs recently. So we'll go over that stuff, and we're going to go over every ability and multiple builds, okay? So this is going to be a more in-depth look at Revenant Prime. Mostly just the frame, not going over his weapons really today, but there's additional videos on those like next couple days too. Before we get into it though, make sure you're subbed to this channel. Check out the daily Warframe video uploads here, and also check out the live stream channel. We will be live shortly after this video goes up to keep farming. So, yeah. Alright, so whenever a new Prime frame comes out, I usually make a how to play guide just because, you know, it's a good like resource to have. We got all the new frame, all that stuff. So we got Revenant Prime right here. Now, as far as comparisons to normal Revenant, he got a couple little stat buffs. He got 25 more energy, which is nice, of course. He's got 25 more shields, which doesn't even matter because his frame is so tanky, he doesn't even need shield gating most of the time. And he got increased sprint speed. Now, you might think increased sprint speed is like not super crazy, amazing, and it's not. But actually on Revenant specifically, sprint speed does benefit him in multiple different ways that not other frames really get benefit from. So, especially with some recent buffs, we're going to go over those soon. So let's go over his abilities in order, though, starting with his passive. And his passive is actually one of the most forgettable passives in the game. When his shield is depleted, enemies within 7.5 meters will get knocked down from a 100 damage shockwave. Like I said, this frame doesn't even need shield gating really, so don't even worry about the passive. He might as well not even have a passive as far as I'm concerned. Let's move on to the actual abilities. We've got his first ability, Enthrall. Basically, mind control. But it's a little bit better than a normal mind control. You can target one enemy at a time with this, and it will enthrall them. They all have these little sentient arrows above their head, I guess I'd call them. And that enemy will actually be able to infect other enemies with the mind control. So let's see, he throws a grenade at that guy. That guy's been mind controlled. Now you have a mind controlled, squad of dudes. You can have up to 7 dudes mind controlled, and there's additional synergies with these dudes with your other abilities, which we'll go over shortly. When those dudes die, they will make an energy pillar that will basically mind control other dudes that walk near the pillar. If you, like I said, you only have 7 dudes mind control at a time, so it's going to just deal some damage. But it's a pretty cool ability, and definitely one you should not subsume off, especially due to the synergies with other abilities it's got. As far as stats, it scales with strength, range, I think duration too, so basically everything. The range is only how far you can cast it from, though, so range is not a very important stat for this ability, or for this frame in general. Alright, second ability, Mesmer Skin. This is the most, it's probably the best ability in the game as far as tank skills, especially because of the massive buff. We're actually going to show this in the simulacrum about the massive buff this skill received in the Echoes of Veilbreaker. We're not in Echoes of Veilbreaker yet, normal Veilbreaker update. I'm going to go in here with no mods against 17 level Exo Gokstad officers level 190. And I'm going to show you how Mesmer Skin works. So basically you cast it. You can see in the bottom right corner I have that number 6 on that ability. That's how many... I want to say it's how many instances of damage it is, but it's actually how many seconds of invincibility you have. So I'm going to jump into these guys. And as you can see, the stacks are starting to go down. You can lose at maximum 1 stack per second. And as you can see, even though all these enemies are shooting at me, I am invincible. Once it goes down to 0, recast it quick or you're going to die. And that's Revenant in a nutshell. The more power strength you have, the more stacks you get. So with no mods, okay, I was able to die there with no mods while trying to despawn them. So, you know, Revenant technically can die if you have no mods in the simulacrum with level 190 enemies. But if you're dying in a mission as Revenant, I'm guessing you're also not playing with mods or something, or really just not paying attention. So that ability will do a lot. So let's make a little bit less extreme of a situation here. We'll do one level 190 Exo Gokstad officer, and we'll show how this ability works. So basically, you cast it. You will have a visual effect around you can hardly see. But while this effect is active, any enemy that will shoot you will be stunned. Of course, if they're in the nullifier bubble or something, they will not get stunned. But you can only lose 1 stack at most per second due to a recent buff. That means if you're in this kind of situation where there's 2 enemies shooting at you, you are literally invincible forever. Unless you run out of energy, you are invincible forever because you can recast it while they're stunned. Yes, I know it sounds completely broken, and it is, but they really want you to buy Revenant Prime Access. So this is the main ability people focus on Revenant. That's why he's the most tanky frame in the game. It negates the damage the enemy shoots you with. So if this enemy was shooting me with 1,000,000 damage per bullet, it wouldn't matter. Unlike other frames like Rhino or Nezha or whatever, 1,000,000 damage bullet would kind of wreck them because they have like Iron Skin. It has a certain number. This Mesmer Skin has no certain number. And the funny thing is, like whatever, you get 1 stack at most per second. It's basically Mesmer Skin gating. I call it Mesmer gating. You are not going to die in this guy with any build. Like I said, this is unmodded. We'll show a build where you can get like 15 stacks in 1 cast, which is completely overkill nowadays, but still, you want a bunch of strength for other abilities too. So really, really good stuff there. There's additional synergies we're going to go over with his other abilities too, but yeah, just good stuff right there. His other abilities are called Reave, so this basically turns you into a smoke cloud and you will dash through enemies. Now the big thing here is this ability is able to one-shot level 10,000 enemies with the right kind of build and setup. But it's going to require synergy with his other abilities too. So we're going to go over what this does. So you turn to a cloud, you dash through enemies. It will drain health, so it will heal you if you have lower health, and it will technically restore your shields too. That health drain and drain percentage, that is going to be doubled for thralls. So if the enemy is mind controlled by your first ability and then you dash through them, that 40% is doubled. So, and that also scales with power strength. That's why you want to mod for power strength on Revenant. One of the reasons you want to mod for power strength on Revenant. You can one-shot level 10,000 enemies because it's a percent-based health ability. Some other synergies this has. So, we have our ridiculous Mesmer Skin ability that makes us a tank. Well, how about we give it to our teammates too? If you reave through and turn to a smoke cloud on your teammates while you have Mesmer Skin active, it will give your teammates 1 stack of Mesmer Skin. It's really hard to see with the energy colors I've got on Panzercat right now, but Panzercat currently has 1 Mesmer Skin stack. And you can do that to your teammates, you can do it to objectives, and of course, they will lose the 1 stack after 1 bullet, but still, you know, that's 1,000,000 damage that they can just face tank right there. I don't think this enemy's going to shoot at Panzercat, but if they did, he'd be fine. So, yeah, that's one of the big things there. Additionally, when we go over our build, it's going to be using an Archon mod. And the Archon Intensify mod wants you to be healing to actually get the benefits of it. That's why this ability, it's going to heal you, it's going to give you your health back, going to get proc Archon Intensify. This also technically can do other things like mobility and all that. And recently, they made it where sprint speed influences how far and fast this ability goes. So modding for sprint speed might be worth a slot to you if you have a lot of space in your Revenant build. And spoiler alert, Revenant has lots of space available on his build. Basically just go power strength, power strength, power strength, and then everything else is up to you. So yeah, pretty powerful ability. This is also his helmet ability. So with enough power strength, you can actually just one-shot enemies without mind controlling them. If you use, like, we're going to be showing a Roar helmet ability build. This ability can just outright one-shot enemies with Roar and Viral procs too. Because it's an ability and Viral procs work on abilities. Roar works on ability damage too. So really, really good. His unfortunately least used ability is Danse Macabre. You basically turn to a laser ballerina. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because this is the ability most people subsume off. Because we've been so power crept at this point, honestly. This used to be a really decent ability for doing exterminate missions. And this is also influenced by sprint speed too. If you start sprinting before you go into his 4th ability, you will move faster. So that's a nice little tip you can do. As you were draining energy pretty fast, these lasers, they do okay damage. Their damage type will adapt to the enemy you're fighting against. So let's say you're fighting against a Grenier, it will become corrosive damage. If you're fighting against a shielded corpus, it will become magnetic. And I think for infested, it becomes gas damage too. So, you know, pretty cool. And as far as other things you can do for this, it will snapshot your power strength when you go in there. So if you use Matter Eye for increased power strength, then go in, you're doing more damage. You can also dash with Reave while you're in here to reposition yourself. And holding down the left, or whatever the trigger button is, will make the lasers more powerful. And it will also drain more energy per second. This ability does break boxes and is pretty good. I usually don't mod for it. As far as a build for using the lasers, just mod for a bunch of efficiency. Okay, now that we've gone over what all the abilities do, I'm sure I missed a couple little things. We'll talk about little things in the gameplay footage, but let's do an actual build for Revenant now. Now, I have quite a few one-shot builds on Revenant. Here's the newest one I've been messing with. And just one quick thing. You might be like, why is Vigilante Pursuit rank 3? Because I'm like 1 mod capacity off, fitting it all on there completely. I'm probably going to put 1 more Forma on Revenant. I just don't want to mess up any builds. I'm probably going to put another dash polarity in him. So, what we've got here and what we've done to Revenant to make him more powerful and definitely high level viable. We're going to be using that Archon Intensify mod I told you about. So it's going to be 30% increased ability strength normally, but if we get a heal from an ability, it will give us 30% more power strength. So 60% power strength from one mod slot with no downsides. Pretty good for frames that can actually benefit from that. And since we have Revenant's Reave, we will be benefiting from that. Additionally, remember how I said you get more power strength when you proc Archon Intensify? If we proc Archon Intensify, we will be in one-shot territory with Reave and Mind Control. And additionally, we can be in one-shot territory with Roar and Reave with some Viro procs. The amount of power strength you want for one-shotting with Roar and Viro procs is 254% power strength, I think it is. And we can accomplish that with this build and no Molt Augmented. We will show you a Molt Augmented setup and a no Archon Intensify setup in a little bit here. But yeah, additional synergies here. Since Revenant is so ridiculously tanky, he will not die even if he wants to die. So Combat Discipline will be really, really good. He will lose health, so we'll be lower health, so we can heal ourselves from Archon Intensify. Also, the damage we take from Combat Discipline Aura mod will proc Archon Avenger. On damage, increase crit chance for 12 seconds. He's really, really good with crit weapons too. That's why we got Vigilante Pursuit, making our crits from primaries become orange crits sometimes. Everything else is just power strength, duration, and safety. A lot of people don't even think Rolling Guard is necessary on him. I think it's foolish to not run Rolling Guard. I mean, what are you going to put in this mod slot instead? Like, seriously, you're going to put some more duration in there? Maybe a little more strength? You don't need those. So that's what I'm going for here is Rolling Guard, big safety. We can basically Rolling Guard and recast Mesmer Skin in that duration. And we've got natural talent to cast Mesmer Skin even faster. So let's just show how this works on this. I guess let's do what Exo Gox did, Officer. Now, I'm going to not even pause them because you don't even care as Revenant. Like, seriously, you don't care. I have 13 instances of... I have 13 Mesmer Skin stacks, so I'm not dying anytime soon. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kill this turret, and we're going to lose our 3 health. Never mind, she died. Okay, we need more than one enemy here. We need more than one enemy, and I'm going to show you how this works. So the idea of the gameplay loop of this build is basically get a kill to lose health on purpose. While you've lost health on purpose, which you don't want to be in gray health for, a little bit annoying sometimes. You will try to heal yourself with Archon Intensify. Nice, do you see that's proc? Now we're in one-shot territory. Get some Viro procs to enemies; they will die in one hit. And now you can just do that basically the entire mission. Now that we're proccing Archon Avenger, we have increased crit chance on weapons. So weapons like the Kuba Nucor, which have really high crit damage but low crit multiplier, will be really, really powerful for tearing through high-level enemies. This is no ribbon right now. And yeah. So this weapon does not normally crit as much as it currently is. And like we could just use our abilities and bully them, but you know, we don't need to because we have weapons too. Shooting weapons is fun. Yeah, so that is going to be the Archon build. Now, what do you get from running Archon Intensify over like another build that we might show? Well, first off, you get to use the Archon mod, and not many people are using the Archon mod, so that's the first thing. But it also lets you technically not have to run an extra power strength mod. So we're running 2 power strength mods to get what we want right here, which is 259% or 255% power strength. If you want to run a no Archon Intensify mod, we have Transient Fortitude and Blind Rage. It's a little bit different of a build. I went in some different directions here, but it's a similar situation. We want enough power strength where we can mind control them and Reave kill them, or just Roar, Reave kill them. This is another build for sure that you can run. Same exact setup, actually. Combat Discipline and Avenger. If you don't like Combat Discipline Avenger, it's not like this build is reliant on it at all. You could take that off for whatever you feel like. And then maybe take off Avenger for like Arcane Strike or something instead. Revenant is really, really good for high-level missions, so it's really up to you. Oh, did I mention that Revenant's mind control ability works on a bunch of stuff that it might not supposed to be working on, like Thrax enemies in Cascade missions? If you want an easy Cascade frame, here you go. His abilities can do all the work, honestly. Just do that Archon build or something. Do the Archon build or this Roar build, and it's easy mode. Like, you're not going to die, and you're going to kill everything, so pretty straightforward there. Let's go over some other things too. So I've got 3 Roar builds today. The Archon Roar build that I've been using the most. You know, seeing that in the gameplay footage right here. We've also got the no Archon Roar build that I just showed you. And we're also going to show the Molt Augmented Roar build. Mostly focused on like killing lots of enemies. Like I said, he's good in endurance missions. Now, here's what you get from running something like Molt Augmented, which gives you 60% power shrink after 250 kills. It just lets you basically free up mod space for other types of stats. So, for example, I've got 2 range mods on here. And what that's going to do is it's make it where your Reave is much larger width. So that means you can cover more area with your Reave. Your smoke cloud is bigger, you can kill more enemies at a time. So let's get some viral procs in here. Now remember, I will not be able to one-shot them because I'm missing Molt Augmented. My power strength is not high enough currently for the one-shot. Not like it really matters, you can go through them multiple times, but you know, a lot of people just like the one-shots with Revenant. So there you go, and he should be dead. So it looks exactly the same, doesn't it? But you will not be in one-shot territory until you get 250 stacks. Do you need to be one-shotting everything? You tell me. You're a Warframe player, you probably want to one-shot everything, honestly. Including the Acolyte. The Acolyte is mind-controllable and reavable. Yeah. So as far as other Helmet abilities for Revenant besides Roar, I actually really like Mark for Death. Okay, maybe really like it is a bit of a stretch. I have used Mark for Death. Revenant is one of the best Mark for Death frames in the game. Do you know why that is? It's because his Reave ability, that percent health, is good with Mark for Death. I'm actually going to throw together a Mark for Death build right now while we're looking at this gameplay footage. Because percentage health is, a pretty powerful stat in every game it's in, doing it on an enemy in this game with Revenant's Reave, Mark for Death basically spreads the damage to enemies in the area. So we're going to just throw together something really quick for Mark for Death. I would not recommend this build, of course, because it's not well put together. Sorry about that. But the idea of this is enemy is affected by Mark for Death. Enemies in the area will be affected by the damage that the enemy takes after hit with Mark for Death. All right, so we're going to go for that. We're going to be... Let's see if we can one-shot all these guys. I'm going to pause them so it's not as annoying. Mark for Death comes from the helmet system. Alright, so we're going to do this, Mind Control, and then Reave. Alright, so it's a one-shot. That's what Revenant can do with Mark for Death. Now, keep in mind, that's a specific simulacrum situation I just put together right there. The way Mark for Death works is you want to find the highest health enemy in the room and do what I just did to them. Don't do it like a butcher. If there's a butcher in the room, and you're like, do some Mark for Death Mind Control on him, it's not gonna one-shot everything, guys, because Mark for Death is capped at how high the enemy's health is that you shot at. For the most part. You can cheese it with like some other slash proc stuff, but for the most part, yeah. You want to find the highest health enemy in the room. So Mark for Death is good. I actually like Energized Munitions on him if you just want to spam AoE rocket launchers. That's something you could technically do. You're going to want some high duration for that build though, so you can spam Energized Munitions for like a good 12 seconds almost. Some people like Breach Surge, some people like Expedite Suffering. I think Roar is probably the easiest just because it's so straightforward and good, and he mods for a lot of strength anyway too, so it's more weapon damage. I'm doing like basically multiple weapon buffs at the same time with Avenger and Roar. So we're doing double duty. We're buffing our abilities and our weapons with Roar. And technically, if our teammates are right next to us, we can buff them too, but this is a very selfish playstyle. Revenant's a very selfish frame for the most part. The only real support he can do is, I guess, mind controlling enemies to get fire off your back and giving that one Mesmer Skin stack. If you are a Revenant player that knows that's a thing, you could technically help a little bit. But most Revenant players don't even know that's a thing. I actually forgot it was a thing until earlier today. Like I said, I was rewatching my old guide from 2020. I'm like, all right, let me make sure I don't forget anything important. Yeah, that's something that you technically can do. And yeah, it does work on mobile defense targets too. So yeah. And as far as like his laser beam thing, I think killing thralls with his lasers gives him like some overshield pickup, but just subsume off his 4, honestly. If you're trying to do Steel Path, his 4 is it's gonna instantly fall off. So yeah, he looks cool. Now as far as Revenant Prime appearance and all that, I think he looks really cool. A lot of people don't think he looks cool, though. They think he looks like kind of like a nerd. I'm gonna show you what base Revenant Prime looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and just say this right now how I feel. They actually messed up the shaders for Revenant Prime. And what I say when I say that, I mean that. By the way, base animations, the helmet's clipping through his collar. Just saying, like that, his fangs right there clipping through his collar. I think it's the same thing. It clips through his collar with the other. Both base animation sets for Revenant have massive clipping with the helmet. Just saying. But yeah, if you put every color as white on Revenant, it actually is gray. So that doesn't seem right. That's the same thing they did with Hero Prime as well. I don't usually point out this kind of stuff, but someone told me in my Twitch chat, and I wanted to just mention it in case that's important to anyone out there. But yeah, I just have him looking like this. I'm using the deluxe helmet and the, I think the deluxe Syandana too, because there's a special Revenant Syandana you can equip, and I think he looks pretty cool. You know, as far as weapons I use on him, I'm going to be using something, since I'm using Arcane Avenger basically all the time on Revenant with this setup, because just to quickly mention, if you go to 2 health, you still won't die as Revenant with this. I don't know. Just make sure Mesmer Skin doesn't go up. I'm using weapons that have good crit, but or have good crit damage, but need a little bit of a push. So for example, my Kuva Tonkor, the build has 90% crit chance. When I proc Arcane Avenger, we're at like 130% crit chance. So all these Vigilante mods are making me have chances for red crits with the Tonkor when I'm using on Revenant, which is really good because I got a bunch of crit damage here. Anti-Grenier Riven, big slash procs, big damage. Another weapon that's really good with Revenant is a lot of weapons actually. The Kuva Nukor. So this thing has really, really high crit damage, as you can see, 10x, but it only has 7% crit chance. So if I proc Arcane Avenger, we'll be getting to like 50% crit chance with all that crazy status chance too. So really, really good stuff. And then as far as the melee, it's really up to you. If you are going to be not running Arcane Avenger, you can go with like a normal light attack melee, like maybe the Nami Skyla or something. But I'm going for heavy attack melee, just something that can take care of the Acolyte if I don't feel like mind controlling them for some reason. Focus tree is really up to you. I've gone for Matter Eye. I don't even use it, honestly, so anything would do. Seriously, like Vazarin for infinite health, shield gating, or health gating, cheese, like invincibility, Unairu, if you don't, actually, you know what the funny thing is, you don't even need Prime Sure-Footed on Revenant. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but his 2 is Prime Sure-Footed. If you don't have Prime Sure-Footed and you're like, I want to be an AoE spammer, just play Revenant. It's the same thing, pretty much. You can use the exact same Revenant Prime Energized Munitions spam build I was showing. He is a really, really good frame, and you should get him, not to mention Revenant Prime is much easier to get than Revenant Normal. I got Revenant Prime in 30 minutes. 30 minutes of farming. So, I might have just been lucky, but he has no Axie parts. I think he's like all Lith and like low level relics. So he's really, really straightforward to get. And I do recommend that you get him. If you're someone that wants to get into like the Steel Path and stuff, if you can just do what I'm doing right here, do exactly what I'm doing right here, this will get you through most of Steel Path. All right, I'm gonna go in there. All right. I'm playing Revenant. I'm so good with Revenant. Rolling guard, recast. I'm so good. I'm so good with Revenant. Shoot. That's Revenant Prime gameplay for you right there. If you can do that, you can play the Steel Path as Revenant. If you can't do that, you might have a bright future as an official Warframe content creator ahead of you. So, alright guys, hope you found this video helpful. I will have a Phantasma Prime video coming tomorrow, most likely. And yeah, Revenant is really, really good. They buffed him a lot. And, you know, laser build probably a little bit power crept nowadays. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Peace.